Lord. Welcome. This is Karen Lindwall-Bourg. I'm with the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs, and we're focusing on entrepreneur wellness for the whole year of 2020. It's been quite a treat, very exciting. For the month of June, well, if I can get my slides to move, we're focusing on intellectual wellness. I can't wait. I have a few free offers for you to celebrate NACWE's 10th birthday. Everything is free right now, so bear with me. We're working through the acrostic beliefs, and we're on the month for intellectual wellness. We did not do them in order, so if you're starting to count on your fingers, well, June is this and July is that. We did spiritual wellness in March or February, because we felt like spiritual wellness really, if we redrew this logo, we would redraw it with spiritual wellness as the umbrella over all other dimensions of wellness. So bear with us. I love this scripture for intellectual wellness. In some versions, the ones I memorized the scripture in said, study to show yourself to God as one approved. But the English Standard Version says, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth. Oops. So as we work through intellectual wellness, here's what I want you to put in the chat room. My goodness, Danica, I should have sent you these because it's hard for me to type all this in the chat room at the same time that I'm leading, but let me put this in the chat room real quick. Type in the chat room your name, where you're from, what's your goal for, it should say June, for June. And what has been a challenge for you and what has been a benefit to you as far as intellectual wellness during the shelter-in-place season that we've been in for so long. Put a link to you so that we can find you, like Ellen would want to put a link to her Bible study that starts this week, or Kathy to her kids class and that sort of thing. So put at least one link in there to you. And then we're also going to ask you as we go through this process today, we're going to offer you our 10, we tried to ask 10 NACWE elite members in the small membership group if they would present to you 10 of their favorite books to enhance intellectual wellness for Christian women entrepreneurs. And some of them gave us 10, 12 people volunteered, and some of them gave us 10, and some of them just gave us 2. So we ended up with about 50, a list of 50 books. I'll also put that in the chat room for you. And then when we repost the replay of this webinar today, which goes out to everyone, we'll put the PDF version of all of the suggestions of books in there. But what we want to hear from presenters today, especially in the chat room, is if you have the author central page on Amazon, which if you have a book on Amazon, you should have my little freebie here. You should have an author central page. And it takes about 5 minutes to set it up. It takes about the same length of time it takes to set up a Facebook page or a Facebook group. So not hard. Put your author central page link URL into the chat room, please. And if you don't have the author central, because on that author central page, we should be able to see every book you've ever put on Amazon if you've made sure that they're all linked properly. And then put also a list, if you haven't got an author central page, put a list of any of your published books, or maybe just one of your published books in the chat room. And when we find you on Amazon, we can click on your name and find the other books that you've written as well. Amazon does that for you. Hope you know that. So just to celebrate NACWE's 10th birthday, my goodness, slides are going everywhere. We are doing every month for a while, we're going to try to give away tens of things. I love that. So if you were not here in May when we did our birthday bonanza or birthday bash, these were the presenters. There were 10, and each of those presenters offered you a free thing. Some of them were pages and pages long. Some of them were huge, and we appreciate them so much and all that they did. We appreciate Diane and all that she did to even start NACWE on May 11th, 2010, the actual birthday of NACWE. If you didn't get all those 10 freebies, this is where you can get them in 2 different places. You can go to NACWE.org, our website, /courses/free training, or there's a training button at the top of the page. You can click on the training button. Underneath that, you'll see a free training button. Underneath that, you'll see the entire classroom, which you don't have access to unless you're an elite NACWE member. There are over 800 things in there, shameless plug. But you'll see all of this on that free training page, or we created a birthday page. I think that's under, I don't know, I'll have to look and see where we put that. But it's NACWE 10th birthday. NACWE.org/NACWE 10th birthday. All the stuff is there for you. And it's going to stay there, probably forever. So we warned these women that their freebie needed to be secure and permanent and not changed month by month by month. So today, here's what the June lineup looks like. We're going to do our 10 favorite books. Next week, you're going to hear from Brenda Wise. She does a bank code breaker technology, and she already sent a link for you, which we'll put in to all of the groups so that you can go in and do a little assessment before she even comes. And she wanted me to make sure you understood that this technology, although it looks like temperament analyses, it's really based on your values, what you value the most. It's really cool. When you see it, I've never seen another website look like it ever before, and maybe may never see one again like it. So we'll make sure you get those links in our groups. And then the next week after that, since we're talking about intellectual wellness, we're going to talk about protecting your intellectual property. And then we're going to have Victoria Carrington come and talk to us about a different approach to Bible study. It's her approach. We've been hearing her talking about it. We've been watching her create it over the last year in the Pomodoro groups in the mornings, and we just couldn't wait. There's no way, we couldn't wait. So we forced her to come, whether she's ready or not, and give you the Aroma approach to Bible study. When we have a 5th Tuesday of every month, we offer you a special. And I'm not sure what the exact hours are going to be. Sometimes we spend a little bit more than an hour together. Sometimes we do an hour today, an hour tomorrow, an hour the next day. But I think we're going to do all of this on June 30th. Anyone in NACWE who is a John Maxwell team member is welcome to join me, and we're going to walk us through his study, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. So today, here's the people that participated, and you're going to get who they are and where they are, a link to them and everything in the handout. And I'll try to put the handout in here in just a minute for you. But I'll start, and Rebecca, then Cindy. Some of these people aren't going to be here today, but they did send us some offerings. So if they're here today, we'll try to keep us in this order. I might have to have some help with this. Let's put this in the chat room too, so we can refer back to it. I think I just stopped sharing. Duh, I'm so talented, especially today. So each of these women have been asked to come in and tell, they only have 2 minutes because we don't have a lot of time, to come in and tell who they are and where they are, and to give you a special offer if they have one, and to tell you about one of their favorite books that they submitted that you'll find on the handout, because there's no way that we have time to do a little annotated bibliography of all of the books if there's 50 of them there. So if you're not a NACWE member, this is a perfect time to join, mainly because our conference is coming up. At this point, we still don't know if we're going to have our conference live. We think we are, or if we're going to have our conference virtual, or both, probably both. And therefore, we are offering free conference tickets if you join NACWE at this time. And you can find information about joining NACWE at NACWE.org/join. If you have questions about it, please ask. Please ask. So we're gonna, before the girls come in and talk to you, I'm gonna spend a few minutes just talking, because I promised that I would, us through, we could talk about intellectual wellness all day long, but I just have a few slides to share with you, and then we'll get them started. First of all, in the chat room, we wanna know, what's your best definition of intellectual wellness? what does it even mean to you? And if anybody wants to pop in, just one person, and say, well, here's my 2 cents, we'd love to hear from you. Anybody?
I say it means being a lifelong learner.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like the general.
And then we're going to ask you, what one thing do you need to prepare to enhance intellectual wellness? Anybody just want to take a stab at that one? And you can type away in the chat room. And then what one thing do you, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say on that, preparing for enhancing intellectual wellness, I think it's helpful to know the direction you're going in, because there's so much out there to enhance your wellness intellectually, but you can get down the rabbit trails and be distracted. So it's really important to kind of decide really what do I need to enhance so that I don't get stuck or get lost.
So interestingly, Jess, so basically she was talking about being aware of the direction you want to go in. Your voice was kind of in and out on us there, so just to clarify. And really interesting, you were muted and it was still letting us hear you. I have no idea what that means, but anyway. So then what one thing do you want to add to your repertoire to enhance intellectual wellness? Can you think of something? Somebody pop in.
Hey, everybody, just hit the unmute button if you do want to talk, and then mute yourself. It just stops the feedback from going.
One of the suggestions was read for fun, and I thought, you know, that's one thing I want to add. I have a tendency to read as if I'm still in school, almost to the point that I feel like I need to highlight and underline and take notes and, you know, read. There's got to be a time when, for my own benefit, or for example, historical novels or something, where I can learn a little bit about the history. There are people I'm fascinated with, I would love to read more about. So, all right, let me go through a few things for you. These are several of the definitions for intellectual wellness. Intellectual wellness includes engaging in creative and mentally stimulating activities, expanding your knowledge and your skills, sharing, giving back, paying it forward, developing your personal resources. That's where your lifelong learning comes in, I think, Danica. And I think not just in an intellectual way, but in all of the dimensions of wellness, because we're really seeking balance altogether. It's a lot more than just academic knowledge. It's being creative, general knowledge, using common sense. Some of us have a little more of an ability to tap into the common sense venue than others. And we're all influenced. Our thoughts, beliefs, actions are all influenced by intellectual enhanced wellness. So here were some prepares. I mean, as you can imagine, we could talk about this for an hour, but I just wanted to do the quick version for you. To prep, be aware. That's, I think, what Jessica was talking about. Aware of who you are and what you stand for, and of the other people's perspectives around you as well. Especially, this hits home as we're going through the crises we see our country and culture suffering right now. Being open-minded, open to new ideas, new cultures, new knowledge, new skills, new environments. Listening actively to fully comprehend the information that's being offered. I think as a counseling student twice, master's and PhD, it bothered me that they did listening activities, but they were so crucial, right? Because we're so often thinking of everything else that is happening in the midst of, or what I'm going to say next, or, you know, our minds chase rabbits and go down different trails. And so listening actively is very crucial. Explore issues related to problem solving, critical thinking, learning, and creativity. And express, I think there's an action to intellectual wellness where you don't just learn, but you do. You put it into action by expressing your creative side, create something. And we're all in the process of doing that, especially the Pomodoro peeps in the mornings. So I came up because it's NACWE's 10th birthday with 10 ways to enhance intellectual wellness. We won't talk through them, we'll just list them. And what I want you to tell me is there one of these that you really want to focus on in the future? And we will take a minute to kind of talk through that, and then we'll introduce everyone who's talking about their favorite books and everything. So steps to enhance intellectual wellness: study with good study skills and good time management skills. I'm going to add study, memorize, and meditate on God's word. And I'll tell you why. Remind me, don't let me go too far before I tell you Jamie's story. Read, I put for fun because that's mine, and play games and work puzzles. We're a game playing family, and I do think it kind of enhances your ability to, I mean, I'm not a card counter, no way. No, I don't have that many brain cells. They're not working quite that well, but it does kind of help to remember who played what and whose turn is it. And so we're teaching the little kids, the little grandorables, to play games as well. Learn a foreign language or to play a musical instrument. If Letha gets to come in later, she's our homeschool, Collin County Homeschool Fine Arts owner. And so she's always interested in teaching someone a musical instrument, and says she can teach online as well. So that would be really cool. Journal. I think there have been times in my life when I was an avid journaler, and other times when I just hardly journaled at all. But I know that every time I do put pen to paper, miraculous things happen. It takes me from whichever side of the brain to the other side of the brain. It opens up a creativity and opportunities, especially if I'm journaling and writing to the Lord. So journal. Get involved in your culture and current issues and local politics. I remember when we first moved to Melissa, Texas, which is way north of Dallas, between Dallas and Oklahoma, closer to Oklahoma. The city was 900 people, and we had 8 people in our family. And so we used to always joke when we showed up for city council meetings, they freaked out because we were half the audience and 1% of the population, or is it 0.01% of the population? Somebody do the math. And they would always say, do you guys, what are you doing? They didn't say, what are you doing here? Because they didn't want to be rude, but they would always come over very solicitous. It's so nice to have you here again. And finally, the woman who was the secretary started saying, do you have an agenda? I was like, no, we don't have an agenda. We don't need to be on the docket. We're just here as a new family in the city, and we are just here to know what's going on with the city council and to pray for you. Every time they would say, are you sure you don't have, we don't have you on our agenda. Do you have an agenda? No, no agenda. But get involved somehow. Become a critical thinker and a critical talker by developing your own ideas, views, and opinions about life issues. I struggle with that. And I think part of it is laziness on my part. I just want Fred, my husband. I adore him. I trust him. I think very highly of him. And sometimes I'm just like, tell me what we think about this. I don't want to think about it for myself, but I think it's our responsibility to think of these things for ourselves. Travel. Don't have to twist my arm for that one. Expose yourself to new ideas and people and cultures, and be involved in your community. That kind of ties back into the cultural involvement. I switched gears there on you. And establish some sort of personal hobbies. Kathy's teaching us to doodle. Some of us, easier to teach than others. But while you're thinking about which one of these things you want to leave the webinar today enhancing, spending focused time on, let me tell you Jamie's story. So I put study, memorize, and meditate on God's word in here to enhance intellectual wellness, really to enhance wellness and all dimensions of our lives, honestly. But I put it here because there's a special story. We were told in homeschool, we were in a Christian homeschool group, and they talked a lot about meditating and memorizing God's word. And that sort of thing. And so another story just came to mind as well. But I'll tell you Jamie's story. When have been a Christian since I was 10, very, very involved in church, a leader in my youth church group, and then went to Baylor University, a Christian university, and became a leader in the Bible study. We called the Baptist Student Union, BSU, now it's Baptist Student Mission. Baptist Student Union, and one of my field for the whole 4 years I was at Baylor was upperclassmen Bible studies. Well, except for my first year, I was forced to be in a freshman Bible study and then lead freshman Bible studies and lead upperclassmen Bible studies. So we had Bible studies offered for everyone if they really wanted one. And when you're talking about 8,000 people on campus, that's a lot of Bible study leaders. So we had to meet quite often. I had seen Jamie Lash on campus a lot and in the Bible study, in the BSU groups and everything. And one day I saw him standing with Becky. I'll never forget. She had her bicycle and they were kind of standing on the street corner, and I walked up and said, hey, and we started having a chat. And it was very obvious that they were getting ready to do some studying together. And they invited me to come. And at that time, men could only come to, the foyer of the girls' dormitory. You couldn't go down the halls or anything like that. I'm sure it's not like that anymore. And we couldn't go in the men's dorms either. So we started meeting in the foyer of the women's dorm for Bible study. And Becky stuck with us for maybe 4 or 5 or 6 months, and she stopped. And Jamie and I studied together for the rest of my college career. He was engaged to Marcy, married to Marcy. They have 3 beautiful grown daughters now. For a while, he was a Dallas Baptist University's admissions director. A very talented man, very sweet. But I learned to study the Bible in a very different way than I ever had before under his discipleship. It was true. The definition of discipleship, you look it up in the dictionary and you see me and Jamie sitting on the bench in the women's dormitory foyer. And his story was that he and Marcy both came from way up north. I'm sure he must have followed her to Baylor. And he had flunked out of school. He had flunked out of college so many times that at one point they wouldn't even let him back in on probation. And so he took a year, maybe 1.5 years or 2 years, and painted houses for a living and began to just respond to the Lord the way that he should, and felt like the Lord was convicting him to study and meditate on and memorize scripture. And he began to do just that. And he felt like from that day forward, he was able to study anything that he set his mind to study in a more powerful way. So much so that he did get back into a college up north on probation, made straight A's, was accepted to Baylor University, made straight A's, was accepted to Baylor University's master's program, economics. I mean, I don't even know how to spell economics, much less want to take any courses related to economics, but he was, graduated with honors in that field too, and has been very successful throughout the rest of his career. It was a great convicting story to me that at least I ought to be studying and memorizing and meditating on God's word, and that good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, God will bless that effort. So what did you say was your number one thing you're going to take away from the 10 steps? What are you going to do? Did you type in the chat room? And does somebody want to pop in?
I typed in the chat room because I think my intellectual wellness would be well served if I took on some of these other, or allowed myself the time for personal hobbies, visiting, playing games, finishing the crochet Afghan I'm working on. I feel so pressured for time all the time, even though I have all day, every day right now, but I know that may come to an end. And so I just focus. And I don't think that's healthy. As healthy as it could.
I wish we could be not sheltering in place and repot plants together. I have a lot of potted plant projects that need to be done as well. Well, let me stop share. Here's the lineup. I think I put that in the chat room. Did I, Danica? I did.
Yes.
Got head shaking there. And then I hope y'all put, okay, so here's what I want to offer y'all. Put this in the chat room too. I told Danica maybe 2.5, maybe 3 years ago.
Karen, I don't see it in the chat room. Was I late?
I don't know. Let's look in the chat room.
I'll repost it.
Let me put this in there. Yeah, Danica, you can repost it for us.
Okay.
I told Danica years ago, Iris Grimm came and talked to us about, she didn't call her talk intellectual wellness at all, but here's the replay. I want you to see this because there it is, first of all, it's an example of one of the best presented webinars ever in the history of NACWE, and we've got 800 and something of them in the classroom. Also, she was really talking about, so Jessica Hammock, you would love this. She was really talking about the neurobiology, what happens in our brains when we communicate. And so going along with intellectual wellness, this was just my favorite. I pulled it out of the classroom. If you click on this link and you can't get in there because it's a class members only deal, let me know and we'll ask Callie to switch it over or put it in the free training, on the free training page for a while. The free training page stays there. Things rotate on and off all the time, but it's there for months. So you won't have trouble finding it, but let me know, anybody who tries to click on it. If you try to click on it and it asks you for a password, that's because it's for NACWE members only. But if you click on it and it doesn't ask you for a password, then it's open to everyone, and I want everyone to see it. So somebody let me know how that works for them so that we can make sure Callie fixes it for us. So. All right, I'm gonna stop share and let you guys come in and talk. Oh, let me give you the handout. Or I'll show it to you too. Let me see. Hand out your computer. Here it is. I'm going to put it in as a Word document, and I'm going to put it in as a PDF as well, just in case one is easier to open than the others. Sometimes these come through and sometimes they don't. If you don't get it, I'm so sorry. We will try to make sure that you have it when we post the replay for sure. So I stopped shared, right? And let's get people who are here who submitted a book to come in. And Rebecca, you ready to go first? So you get to tell us who you are and where you are and give us a link to you. And if you have a free offer, that's great. And tell us about one of the books that you listed.
I'm glad you reiterated that because I was like, I got so much going through my brain. I was like, what am I supposed to say?
I don't have time to do this.
I was going to quickly share I craft, and that is my intellectual help. And until COVID, I didn't, gosh, I started crafting before, let's see, I've been married 21 years almost. And I started crafting before I was married to my husband. And, you know, as time came by with children and work, I just stopped crafting. And I joke that I have so many crafts that people like want to give me deals. I could actually open up a craft store. I don't need to go to the craft store, but I just didn't do
it.
That. And I come from, I come out like a workaholic. And so I noticed that when I have to deal with stuff, I jump into work, and that's not healthy. After a while, you need to go outside that. So anyway, just wanted to share that real quick.
So Rebecca, lean in a little bit so that your volume is up, or turn your.
Am I too low? Is that better? Sorry. You know, I'm still trying to perfect Zoom. I don't on my computer. I don't like it on my iPad. I don't like it anywhere. But anyway, so my name is Rebecca Hurt, and I own RH Business Solutions, which is an accounting or bookkeeping firm. And I started that about 2 years ago. I've been in bookkeeping forever. I started about 2 years ago because I had to come home for my children. I wanted to come home and be with them. And I don't read for fun. I tend to only read to learn. I get very laser focused, and it's all about learning and learning. And in the last 2 years, even though I've been in bookkeeping for over 25 years, there's a lot to learn when you're a business owner. So I've spent the last 2 years not doing any reading at all for fun, for sure, unless I was reading, something to my children, or the Bible. That was about the only thing I read that for comfort. But everything else is to learn. And one of the books, I have thousands of Kindle books. And like I said, I don't read them. I apologize. I have learned to download Audible. I use Audible, but I can't listen if I'm trying to do work. My brain cannot function both times. So what I started doing was reading Successful Women Think Differently, 9 Habits for a Happier, Healthier, and More Resilient. And the thing I like about that book is she doesn't say successful is being rich or famous. Successful is achieving what makes you happy. And not everybody has to be a millionaire to be happy. And that really kind of helped me let go of stuff and realize that I am successful. I am actually making a paycheck. It may not be what I did before when I was running around and not being there for my children, but I'm successful because I'm here helping the family, working with people I do want to work with, and not having to be miserable working maybe with people that are unkind. And I'm here for my children. And both my children homeschool. Well, one actually is now in college, but I've been homeschooling for 4 years. And the other one's a freshman, so I have 3 years to go. But anyway, so I also realized that there's a lot of change with businesses having to open back up. And there's a lot of fear, not only on personal protection gear and how you open up, but I realized that there's a lot of financial fear too. So I created a short little 2-page guide on how to make a budget. And the thing about budgets is you can have different kinds, and you can chat with me or contact me more. Some people view a budget as a very set guide that you don't change. This is it, and you stay in that for the whole year, and you can use a budget that way. Another way to do a budget is it can be a flexible, breathing, moving, living document, which means you might have a long-term budget for a year, but you might want a budget that is a little more flexible, because people don't realize a budget doesn't always have to be steadfast. And the reason being is it's what you project you're going to do by using past data. Some people are like, well, why do I need a budget? I have past data. Your past data, like from your financials, will be that that's actually what you spent. That's actually what your business created. Those are actual fixed data. But you take that information and you create a budget, and you can also change that budget. Say you want to spend more on maybe marketing, because now a lot of businesses are marketing because they're not actually being able to open up as soon as they like. Then you can move that, and you can see where that money can come from somewhere else, and it keeps you out of hopefully keeps you out of financial crisis. But that's what I'm offering. If you just go to my website, you'll get a pop-up. It says click on this for that free budget. You click on that, you'll go down to the bottom, you enter your name and email, and then I'll send it to you free for email. And if you have any questions, I'm always open to discussions. And
I love that, because how can you project a future for your business if you haven't really honestly looked at the truth of the past? And I think we don't do that. I don't do that often enough. So I think that's great.
A lot of people are afraid of that, but don't be afraid of the numbers. they can help you.
It's not like they're going to be put on the I-75 billboard or anything like that. That's right. It's confidential information. I don't know. That's one of my hang-ups or fears. So, okay. So Cindy Berger's not here, but she has some. You'll notice when you open the handout that it has parentheses with people's initials, so you can see, if you want to see, well, what did she recommend? You can find everybody that way. But Jessica, you're here. I hope you can come in and talk to us and your voice is clearer.
Yeah. I think it's the internet, and they randomly said no right outside of my house like 2 seconds ago.
So I wonder if you can log in
This is
on
my
your
book.
phone, Jessica.
When I'm
We
gonna
can't hear you clearly.
Okay.
I'm going to get somebody else to go and then let you log in on your phone. In a minute. How about we do that? Okay. So Danica, do you want to go next?
The book that I read that I really enjoyed was called 4DX. It's actually the 4 Disciplines of Execution by Chris McChesney, Sean Covey, and I think it's Jim Huling. And it just really helped me understand SMART goals, how to make them, and then how to execute them in your company, in your business, in your ministry, in your life. So I really, really like that. It's about this thick. It's pretty huge, but it's, it's super fun to read too. He's really funny. And you can see a lot of his stuff on YouTube or Google too. He's a speaker with like GLS and some things like that. So I really enjoyed that. I have a freebie. If you publish a book, you can go ahead and, I don't know if you put it in there, but it's the 10 steps, intentional steps to publishing a book.
Get you to put that one in there because I didn't have it on the handout. I have hopecoach.org. Is the freebie, is it on your homepage?
Not. Okay. No.
Yeah.
I have COVID journal on there if people are struggling with the panic of the, how to kind of change your panic thoughts to be a little bit calm. And I did put my author page in there. I have, I think, 10 journals and 3 books on the way. So like little books for kids, To Your Unicorn. This is, you chart animals and where they're going, what you see. And then this is Joy. This is for a grieving family to remember their journey and just awesome memories with their family. So some are for adults, actually. There's a couple music journals on there on Amazon. And you can find me at thehopenetwork.us or danicadiva.com. All of them work.
You are all over the place. So, how come we never heard? I've never heard of the 4DX, so I'm really excited to get into that. It sounds like my absolute cup of tea, having one of my favorite books be the 12-week year and stuff like that. Sort of a different take on being.
It's the execution of it too that makes it great. The very simple lag measures, lead measures, and how to execute and not feel overwhelmed with, I have to accomplish all these things,
Goes right along with your theme of the year for 2020, be intentional. Get it
That's
done.
right.
Get it out there. I love that. Jessica, let's see if we can get you in now. I'm so sorry. It didn't work.
That's okay. Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and my phone background is the beach. I'm not really at the beach. I want to be. My book is Spirit Driven Success. It's not going to show up so great, but it's by Danny Johnson, who's a business coach, and it really focuses a lot on your belief system and mindset about, do you have a poverty mindset when it comes to your business? Do you really, what is your calling, and are you pushing God out of that or allowing him into that? What's standing in the way in terms of your fear and stuff like that. So she has several other ones, but that's the one that was most impactful to me. And I mentioned her other, I won't spend time on it, but her husband Hans has something called True Wealth Formula that helps take you into kind of how to build a legacy with your finances, which is beyond just having, present stuff. Right now, I'm just on Facebook, so you can find me on there. I think you put the link in there for Facebook groups. It's Vibrant Voice Veranda. just a front porch area because I'm just getting started in creating a business location to find me and my content and stuff. So thanks for letting me share.
So I have facebook.com/JVibrant, but I don't think I put the business page on there. So if you can find that on your laptop and pop it in there.
I copied it in earlier
Okay.
when I responded to the list of questions. So if you scroll back up, it shows my group that you can join.
Perfect. So Yvette and Christina, I'm going to put you on the spot and have you come in, even though you weren't really kind of on the docket per se, and talk about the 12-week year, because I'm a total 12-week year fanatic. But Yvette, are you ready? Come in. Uh-oh, let me unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what would you like for me to do?
Tell us a little bit about you and where we can find you, and
well,
one of your books that you recommended to come.
I'm not an influencer yet, unless it's just a Jesus influencer.
Beg to differ, right?
But just so y'all know, I have not been well this past year, and I wasn't really sure. I haven't really shared this with Karen or Danica. I wasn't really sure why God was connecting me with NACWE. But it has been, and all of you ladies, you don't know it, but y'all you've been posting, you've been encouraging me. I have to have an operation soon. And it's been a real, not really a fear, but at the same time, I think probably a fear. I kind of look at myself as someone that's fearless because I know where my help comes from. But at the same time, I do worry about not being able to speak and not being able to sing. I have thyroid growth. So in one of the things the doctor said when I went the other day, he said, that he's going to try not to nick the vocal cords. And I'm like, you're not going to nick the vocal cords. But that's something that I deal with. But y'all have really been encouraging me, and I've read so many books. I used to be involved in multi-level marketing. I've been a manager of a travel agency back in the day where we went from 1 million to 2.5 million in a year. I've been a mover and a shaker most of my life, and now I'm a mover and shaker for Jesus, I hope. But some of the books that have been really good, I brought them out because I wanted to look, and I am a very big John C. Maxwell fan, and back when I was in business working, he was mainstream as far as there weren't all these other opportunities, or people weren't writing about how to include God in your business. And ultimately, I ended up walking away from a very good corporate scene and multi-level marketing scene where I was actually making good money because of the lack of God and me not knowing how to put balance in my life. But my big go-to, I was in wanted to tell you this quick story. I was in a bad situation where someone had accused me of embezzling money in a company, and so I was on trial for a year. The FBI came and asked me if I would be a federal witness for them, and so during that year, I had people in my community that would, be extremely ugly to me, walked up, spit in my face, all that kind of stuff. I mean, things you see every day on Facebook now, but back then you didn't. But during that time, God really, you would think Psalms would be the place that I would go, but God had me digging around in Proverbs. Every day I was reading Proverbs, and God has Proverbs, and there's 31 books in the Bible. And every day when you read, you could read a chapter every day, you can glean wisdom, there's all kind of discernment that you can get. And with all of you ladies being in business, that is something that is critical for you to have discernment in your business and wisdom, so that you know that you're hooked up with the right people. Mm-hmm. You know that the people that you are making covenants and promises with and business partnering with and joining yourself with, that it's clear that they're on the same path that you're on. that you're in agreement and like-minded. And so Proverbs is really great for that. And so the other aspect of my life is that I am an artist, and I do reloved arts and pieces. And I've kind of been a little bit on the back burner this year because the growth also affects my breathing. And so if you're going to use chemicals, you're going to strip a piece of furniture, you're going to paint, use oils, that kind of thing, it will affect your breathing. But actually, I have to tell you, ladies, tomorrow I'm going to look at a property and to see if there is a place for me to start off kind of small. I used to have a showroom that I had my goods in, and I'm going to look at another place to see if I can put my goods in and start back up again. So y'all have really encouraged me, and I want y'all to know that. And I did not really understand about the coffees in the morning. This girl right here, she needs girl conversation with coffee, okay? Yeah. So I'll be popping in as I'm able. I do go back to work on the 8th, and my children are coming in to see me before I have surgery, so I'll be playing with them. But in July, I'll probably be back on schedule again. And so I just ask God to bless you, ladies. You're just awesome, and I appreciate the opportunity to share and to learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you. And your entire testimony as you've gone through the discovery of what's going on with your thyroid has been an inspiration as well. I just, my fervent prayer is that when I go through something like that, I will be as faithful as you have been. So we appreciate you've Nick, I
don't think I told the ladies at Bible study that they got to put this in there real quick, that when I went, that God was going to have me somebody to talk to Jesus about. And the doctor said that he's struggling with his faith. He's struggling with God. I said, I'm going to help him with that. He's going to help me. I'm going to help him.
Roberta's in the room. She's doing the same thing. She has to her doctors. Almost one of them told her, I don't want to hear any more stories. And she's insistent and intense.
Go, girl.
You go, girl. That's right. So let's see. Who am I? Yvette. Letha didn't pop in. So Christina, I don't know if you're there. Can I put you on the spot and have you come in? You sent me a message.
Sure,
yeah.
I did. I'm just waiting in line to get my little guy. So if I take the video off, it's only so you're not moving around and getting sick while I'm walking. But 12 Week Year is absolutely one of my most favorite books. I actually facilitate that course and do it in a mastermind throughout the year. And the basis of the entire book is that for 12 weeks, you have your entire year. So you have the way that I facilitate it is we choose one commitment or goal in each major area of your life. So spiritual, business, professional, health, things of that nature. And we break it out. And then we have tactics. So you have 3 tactics that you use to help you get there. And then we use the weekly the WAP meetings, the weekly accountability meetings, and the core group, we get together and we share, how are we doing? What are we doing? What's preventing us? And then we start the basis of each 12 weeks going over our calendar and really making sure that we're using block scheduling. I use it in conjunction with Atomic Habits, which really builds in buffer blocks, and James Clear, Atomic Habits. Phenomenal book, but it builds in really helping you with buffer blocks and doing that. Let me tell him, Lucas Messenger. Sorry. And so those 2 books together are a phenomenal way if you're really looking to get on course, stay on course, and figure out a way to hold yourself accountable and have easy bite-sized pieces to eat that elephant. I would highly suggest both of those. So, and the workbook, by the way, the workbook to 12 Week Year is incredible.
Yeah. We used, as a NACWE small group, the elite membership, we used to read through books together, and we've kind of stopped doing that mainly because I don't have someone who will lead us through the book, and it's just a little bit more than I can cope with. But I did lead us through the 12 Week Year. It was a total game changer. It changed the way I coach. It changed the way I do masterminds. It kind of changed some of the things that we do for NACWE to 12-week focus instead of 12-month focus. Not that we don't. We do. The NACWE team is in the room today, and we do plan a year out. We chose to focus on wellness for entrepreneurs a year and a half ago. you know, who knew? God knew, right? And so I'll share one because multiple people put this in on their list. And they put on their list Shay Bynes' Grace Over Grind. One of the things, Shay Bynes will be our keynote speaker at our conference this year, and she'll talk through, I'm sure she'll talk through part of that book. It's a book, it's a game changer. It's a book you want to read more than once until your heart shifts to put God first in your business. She's also written about a dozen other books, one of them. So also, I think what we're getting ready to do is we're going to take everything that she and her team taught last year. We gave them a month, and they came in. I mean, it was one of the best months of my life. They came in and talked through Grace Over Grind, doing business God's way, and several other points. And so we'll probably be pulling everything that they taught us last year during the month of doing business God's way, and we'll pull it out and probably also put it in the free training so that everyone has access to it before we have our conference. Our conference title is Doing Business God's Way. Oh, is Working God's Way. And Shay will be there to talk. The book I love the most by Shay Bynes is Grace Over Grind. One of the things that she pointed out was that if you read, we're all familiar with the scripture, Matthew 11, 28 through 30, where it says, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." And he goes on to say, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." And she pointed out that if you read that in the Message version of the Bible, I wish I had time to pull it up and plop it into the chat room. Maybe
I'll go get it. I'll go get it.
Thank you. The Message. It says, "If you do this, come to me when you feel heavy burdened and laden down with all of the life's, trials and tribulations, you will be able to function in unforced rhythms of grace." And so one of her points in Grace Over Grind is if you are grinding away today in your business, in your relationships, in your ministry, in your intellectual wellness, in your everything, that is not God's way. And instead of forging forward, which is my way, I'm just going to fight my way through and wonder why I don't feel so hot in the end. She says, stop, take a breath, back up. Don't move forward until you absolutely know what God is telling you to move forward in. And you will move forward in these unforced rhythms of grace. Here it is. Thank you, Kathy. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. I wish I could think of a specific example of not moving forward. I get that. We all do, right? There are deadlines to be met. There's that panicky feeling of what if I don't have this covered by the time it's supposed to be covered, and that sort of thing. In the past, I would have just forged forward, but so many times since reading through that book multiple times last year, I've backed up, stopped working instead of continued to work, which is a frightening thing because it's so countercultural. And then let God lead me and not move forward. The team has seen that happen, and not move forward until we really heard from the Lord to move forward. She's a wonderful writer, a great storyteller, which is so important. Highly recommend that book. It's one I think it comes with a study guide as well. And it's one I think we should probably really should read through in the NACWE groups. Just kind of need somebody to volunteer, no pressure or anything, to kind of lead us through that. So I don't have to do it. Thank you guys so much. Feel free to continue typing in the chat room for the next few minutes and talk to us about what another book that really meant a lot to you or whatever. I may try to go through the chat room and add some things to the list now that we've heard from some new people. Ellen, do you have a fave? We've spent a lot of time together. A favorite book? I never asked. Put you on the spot.
I do, but it's, I have a favorite book at the moment.
Okay.
And it's Michael Gerber's book, Revisiting the E-Myth.
Revisiting
the E-Myth Revisited. And the reason it's my favorite of the moment is because reading that book, I was finally able to gather together all the bits and pieces of entrepreneurship and really understand the difference between creating for yourself a job or actually being entrepreneurial.
She says as she returns to work next week. We're really praying about that one. Lord, does she have to do this? So that reminds me of one more.
I have more than till next week. I pinned down the date yesterday. It is July the 1st.
July 1st.
So I have 4 weeks.
We've got you with us for another month. We can handle that.
Yeah.
God can do amazing things in a month.
In a month.
Okay. We're waiting to see what he will do. So I'll leave you with one more. I did not put on the list, but I will try to put it on. I'll try to remember. I read a book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. John Mark Comer. And basically he was a mega church. It was either Seattle or Portland, but up there somewhere. He was a mega church pastor and just burdened, right, with how many services are we going to have and how big do we need to be and this sort of thing, and began to really study busyness and felt convicted of the Lord and went before his elders of his church and said, we're paring back. I mean, we only have this number of clothes. We only watch TV this number of hours. They moved to downtown and started a church downtown, and his original church was very supportive. I don't remember exactly all the details of the study. One of the things he said was, how many times do you think, and I want to hear from you, you touch your cell phone in a day? Oh no, Rebecca's like, what? Anybody got a guess? I mean, and it's touch. It's touch is not just how many times do you glance at it and look at it, but how many times do you touch? And every touch counts. So,
I need to define. I have a defining question.
Okay.
If I am touching it and I don't let it go for an hour, does that one touch, or is that like?
No, every little thing that you do like this is a touch, right? So it's a bigger number than you think.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. So I talked about this in a women's group not too long ago, while my daughter was going into labor, and rushed off in the middle of my talk, said, oh no, my phone. So yeah, Jasmine is like, someone said 100, Kathy held up a piece of paper, said 1,000. Jasmine's like, oh, well, if you're gonna talk about every time I touch my phone, it's like about 10,000. And he said, studies have shown that we touch our cell phones 2,713, an average of 2,713 times a day. Well, I know I'm at least average, please. I mean, at least average. I might be a little bit a cut above average. So I know my number has to be at least bigger than 2,713. But just, I'll put that on the list because he's a wonderful storyteller. He tells exactly what, his family was going through and his kids were going through as God was asking them to kind of simplify our lives. Yeah, more than I should is a good answer. And it was very convicting. So much so that I'm, convinced that I should at least try to put my phone in a drawer an hour a day, or a day on the week, a whole day, or hours on the weekend. And Jessica Hammock and I both have had the opportunity to go away at Quest retreats by Fellowship of the Sword. They're open to anybody. You should Google them. We should put the link in there. And when you go, they'll take your phone away. You can't have a phone. You can't have an internet, a laptop, no access to internet, nothing for an entire week. It was one of the most amazing weeks of my life. I will continue. I'm going to go back and serve on their staff this August because it is such an impactful experience for me both times. So,
and
so
I will say this, the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, I committed to listening to the audio version of it where he's reading it, and it was so good because I had too many books to commit to, so I was like, let me just listen to the audio version. And listening to him read it and hear him put his author's emphasis on it was just so helpful that it really just makes you want to slow down a lot, like throw the phone out the window.
Deep breath, right? Between that and Grace Overgrown, surely I can get my act together a little bit better in 2020.
I love being able to, it's my favorite thing. Listening to the author read his book has made a huge difference.
But wouldn't you also love to hear from his family? I want to hear from his family.
Yeah. It's a 12-week year. I listened to it on Audible too. I was on a trip and I was like, I really need to get this book in, and it was good.
I'm not an auditory learner, but I think probably that's an intellectual enhancement I should add, is to try. I think I've convinced myself wrongly that I can't listen, that I have to be, watching something or taking notes or drawing in the margins, or I'm a very kinesthetic and visual learner, but that's my new thing. Thank you, Kathy. You just gave me some new thing to try. Jessica is trying to convince me to do it.
Fun book.
What about the fun book?
I want to recommend a fun book.
Fun?
Or several fun books. Books for fun.
Yeah. Well, let me
anything by Francine Rivers, and I'll put it in.
Oh, yes.
Good.
I have read. Yeah, we should add fun books next time or something. So y'all, if you want to jump in and do the same thing again in July, I don't know. I was thinking of podcasts, our 10 favorite podcasts, or that. So yeah. And if you have a podcast, you really should be here and push yours as well. But yeah, we need to add fun books to the list as well. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, I'm going to pray us out. I have a 3:15 appointment. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. God bless these women. They are family. They are friends. They're family, as Courtney calls them. This is what makes my world go round. Rubbing shoulders with some of the most amazing Christian women entrepreneurs in the world, right here, from our own little homes, on our sometimes working technological laptops and phones, etc. I'm so grateful because they enhance, speaking of intellectual enhancements, they enhance my life in every way possible. And will be, many of them, I know, Lord, lifelong friends. And that is so precious to me, so valuable to me. Lord, I pray that just a blessing over NACWE, especially in this wonderful 10th year. We don't want to beat the 10th year to death, but it has been fun so far. And so I just pray that you'd give us guidance to expand on that and offer lots of free stuff and free ideas to everyone in honor of all that Diane dreamed of 10 years ago. I pray, Lord, for everyone here, their writing, their entrepreneur endeavors, whatever they may be, their groups, their websites, their Facebook posts, everything that goes into being seen and being heard out in the big worldwide web. We want to be efficient about it and do it well. And Lord, we want to know that every time we put anything out there, people see Jesus in us and in what we've put out there. May we do that every step of the way and do it in ways that bring you glory and honor and pleasure. And we ask these things in Jesus Christ's holy name. Amen. All right. God bless. Save the chat.
Thank you.